If you've been looking for a way to jazz up your workspace in Notion with some progress bars, then stick around and I'll tell you how. Hit the subscribe button and click the notification bell to stay part of the conversation. For free Notion templates, check out the link in the description below. Making progress bars in Notion involves a lot of formulas, so what I'm going to do is break the formula down into all of its different sections. To start with, we're going to create a table. And then because the progress bar is related to a percentage, we need a way to make that percentage. So we're going to have goal and completed as two different number properties. So the number in the goal property is going to represent 100% completed, so the total amount of tasks in a project, for example. The number in the completed column is how many things you have currently completed, so maybe you completed 1 out of 100, 5 out of 100, and that will create the percentage that we're going to use in the progress bar. If you're not interested to learn how the formula works, then just go to the timestamp on screen and that will show you the whole formula. So the first part of the formula is actually to check if it's full, which means you've completed the task, so you've got 100 out of 100. So what we're going to do is take our completed property, divide that by our goal property, and see if it is bigger than or equal to 1. This means if the completed number is equal to or bigger than the goal number, it will show a tick. If it's not, it won't. The question mark is asking if this function is true. The first argument we put in after the question mark is if it's true, so we're going to put a tick. And then the second argument after the question mark we're going to separate with colons and put no. So if completed is smaller than the goal, put no. If it's the same as or bigger than the goal, put a tick. So you can see 0 is smaller than 100, so it's put no. 50 is smaller than 100, so no. And 100 is the same as 100, so I've completed that task. The second part of the formula is actually creating the progress bar. So we're going to use the slice function. This is where you decide what your progress bar is going to look like. You need to make sure that whatever you put inside these speech marks, you can get 10 of in there, because that's 100%. And then you need to make sure that whatever you put in there is only filling up one space wide. So an emoji is 2 spaces wide, so it wouldn't quite work. So if you were going to use an emoji, you'd have to change the formula slightly, because otherwise you'd have half an emoji. Then we're going to put 0 because that is where I want the slice to start from. I don't want it to start halfway through the progress bar. I want to start right from the beginning. Now I'm going to use the floor function, which is basically going to round down the number that we've created from completed divided by goals. Now we've got the completed number divided by the goal number. So we have 0 divided by 100, 50 divided by 100, 100 divided by 100. This is always going to create a decimal place that is smaller than 1 unless we have completed the task, in which case the full check will give a tick. Now we're going to times that number by 10, so we change it from a decimal place 0.1, 0.2, times that by 10 to make it 1, 2, 3, 4, all the way up to 10. And that number is how many objects of the slice is actually going to be shown. Because that is wrapped in the floor function, we won't get a 3.4, a 3.5, because it will have been rounded to a whole number. So you can see now we've got 50 divided by 100, which is 0.5. We've times that by 10 to make it 5, so we have 5 digits showing in our slice output. Then we've got 100 divided by 100, which is 1. We've times that by 10, which is 10, so we have 10 slice in our output. Then we've got 0 divided by 100, which is 0, times by 100, which is 0, which means we don't have anything in the slice output. The second part of the progress bar works pretty much the same way with some slight differences. So we're still going to use the slice function, but we're going to change the text input. So we're going to go smaller than rather than greater than. We're still going to start from 0, but we're going to use the ceil function instead of the floor function. So you can see instead of always going to the smallest whole number, it's going to go to the largest whole number. Now we're going to generate that same decimal place as with the first formula. Completed divided by goal. We're still going to times it by 10 because we want a whole number. As you can see just outside the formula box, it's just mimicked the formula that we've just completed. Because this represents what we have left to do, we need to take this away from 100%. And in this case, we have 10 digits in our slice function, so we need to do 10 take away the number that we've just generated. Now in the bottom row, instead of it saying I have 10 things left to do even though it's completed, it's actually empty because I don't have anything left to do. This also means where completed is empty, we have 10 things left to do because now it's doing 0 divided by 100, which is 0, times by 10, which is still 0, and you're going to take that away from 10, which makes 10. Putting those three functions together actually creates a progress bar, but I want to show the actual number percentage next to my progress bar. To do this, I'm going to use the round function so I don't have decimal placed percentages. Then I'm going to create that decimal place again, so we're going to go completed divided by goal. And to turn that decimal into a percentage value, we times it by 100. And now you can see down the bottom, the completed value says 100, the halfway completed says 50, and the project that hasn't had anything completed says 0. That formula only calculates a number, so what we actually need to do is tell it to put a percentage sign on the end. For this, you could just add a percentage text on the end, but what I want to actually do is check to see if the completed actually has any value in it. So I'm actually going to use the empty function and ask is completed empty. If completed is empty, put 0%. If it's not empty, put %. I personally like having that, so when I see 2 zeros and a %, I know I haven't entered anything into the completed box. Now I'm going to put all of those parts together in one formula box. So we start with our full check to see if it's completed. Prop completed divided by prop goal is bigger than or equal to 1. If it is, put a tick. So if it's completed, put a tick. If it's not, instead of putting no, we're going to put the next part of the formula. And because we're putting lots of different parts of the formula together, some of them need to be formatted slightly differently. So I'm going to use the format function for the slice. Then I'm going to put that slice done section all in. So we've got slice, then what our progress bar icons look like, 0, floor, prop completed, divided by prop goal to create that decimal place, times it by 10 to turn it into a number, and then close off that section with the brackets. Essentially what that does is put a tick if it's completed, and if it's not completed, it puts the amount that you have completed so far. Then we're going to add that to our slice left function. So we put in slice, then we put our input numbers in, 0 because we're starting right from the beginning, seal, then we're going to generate that decimal place by going completed divided by goal, times that by 10 to turn it into a whole number, and remember because this is what's left, we have to go 10 minus whatever that number is that we've just generated. Now we're going to add that to a space which basically separates our number from our progress bar. Now we're going to format and then put our % value in, so we're going to round property completed divided by property goal, times by 100 to turn it into the %. Now we need to put that % on the end or put 0% if nothing's been entered. So format, empty, prop completed. Then we're going to put the question mark to make it into a question, 0% if completed is empty, and just put the % if completed has something in it. This leaves us with our completed progress bar, and because there is no number in the completed column, there is 0%, then it's 50 out of 100, so we have 50%, and then we have the bottom box, which is completed. Maybe you want to see how many flashcards you've completed from the space repetition workspace I've created. If you haven't seen that video, check that one out over here, and I'll see you there.